Vision here we present to you tonight's news bulletin. But first, the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends a cabal of condolences to the custodian of the two holy mosques and greets the President of Tunisia and Tanzania. The United Nations Security Council condemns the escalation of armed clashes around Marib city in Yemen and warns of worsening humanitarian catastrophe. And France's health regulator recommends administering AstraZeneca vaccine to people aged 55 and over, while the coronavirus cases in Germany rises at a very clearly exponential rate. Good evening once again, and thank you for joining us. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends a cabal of condolences to the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, on the death of His Highness Prince Bandar bin Thar bin Turkey bin Abdul Aziz bin Turkey Al Saud. His Majesty Sultan Haytham sends a cabal of greetings to His Excellency Kais Saied, President of Tunisia, on the occasion of his country's independence anniversary. And His Majesty the Sultan also sent a cabal of greetings to Her Excellency President Samia Hassan of Tanzania on the occasion of her swearing in as the new president of her country. France's health regulator recommended today that only people aged 55 and over should be given AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine due to reports of blood clots, while giving the green light to resume its use after a brief suspension. It said the recommendation was based on the fact that the reported blood clots, which prompted the vaccine suspension in France and other European countries, has been only in recipient aged under 55. Prime Minister Jean Castex, himself age 55, is due to be given the vaccine today in a bid to bolster confidence after the European medicine watchdog ruled it was safe to use. In France, out of 1.4 million AstraZeneca doses administered, cases were seen in a 51-year-old man and a 24-year-old woman. Coronavirus cases in Germany are rising at a very clear exponential rate. A top public health institute said today, as the European Union biggest country debated tightening shutdown, the vice president of the Robert Koch Institute for Infectious Disease, Lars Schade, told reporters that highly contagious virus variants were getting the upper hand, wiping out progress seen last month in containing the pandemic. The institute today reported 17,482 new infections in the previous 24 hours and 226 deaths in Germany, with the 7-day incidence rate soaring to 96 per 100,000 people, despite a month-long shutdown of large swathes of public life. The country's second city of Hamburg said it would pull the emergency brake from tomorrow after exceeding the 100 mark 3 days in a row. Brandenburg, the state surrounding Berlin, also crossed the benchmark today. And now to Yemen. Yemen's Houthi rebels have made major advances on Marib city after seizing a strategic mountain in clashes that caused dozens of casualties in both sides. The Huthis and the international recognized government have been locked in a power struggle since 2014, when the rebels seized control of the Yemeni capital Sana'a. Since last month, the rebels have been pushing to seize Marib, the government's last northern stronghold and the capital of an oil-rich region. The loss of Marib would be a huge blow for the Yemeni government, but would also threaten catastrophes for civilians, including 1 million displaced people sheltering in desolate camps in the surrounding desert. The news of their advance came just hours after the United Nations Security Council condemned the escalation of an armed clashes around Marib city and warned of a worsening humanitarian catastrophe. And now to Sudan. Sudan said it had received initial approval for international mediation in Khartoum's and Cairo's decade-long dispute with upstream Ethiopia over its controversial Blue Nile mega dam project. Last month, Khartoum suggested mediation by a quarter of the African Union, European Union, United Nations and the United States, a proposal welcomed by Cairo but rejected by Addis Ababa. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, set to be Africa's largest hydroelectric project, has been a source of tension in Sudan and Egypt ever since Addis Ababa broke out on it nearly a decade ago. The Nile, the world's longest river, is a lifeline supplying both water and electricity to the 10 countries it traverses. Ethiopia says the hydroelectric power produced by the dam will be vital to meet the energy needs of its 110 million people. In Russia, China, the United States and Pakistan signed a joint statement in Moscow yesterday calling on all parties to the conflict in Afghanistan to reduce the level of violence and urging the Taliban not to pursue a spring offensive. The statement on a peaceful settlements in Afghanistan was released by the Russian foreign minister after a regular meeting of the 4 countries or the extended troika with the participation of representatives of the Afghan government and the Taliban. Russia, China, the United States and Pakistan in the 10-point statements asked all Afghans to ensure that terrorist groups and individuals do not use Afghan soil to threaten the security of any other country. The Afghan peace talks, which began on September 12 following the U.S.-Taliban so-called peace deal inked in late February 2020 to end the U.S. longest war, have paved the way for the pullout of thousands of U.S. forces in Afghanistan and facilitated the intra-Afghan dialogue has made little progress to achieve the goals. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and yet to come in our news bulletin. The wheat crop harvest season starts in the Wilaya of Mahada in the Governorate of Buraimi. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. President Joe Biden told the Parliament representative of the United Nations Security Council yesterday that the United States will join the international body groups of Friends on Climate and Society. The group was launched in 2018 with a focus on the impact that national security policy has on climate change. Biden has vowed that the U.S. will consider climate issues in nearly all policy making and has committed to U.S. cooperation on multilateral efforts on addressing climate change. That's a departure from his predecessor Donald Trump, who largely ignored scientific consensus about the need for the nations to take action to curb rising temperatures. During the virtual meeting, Biden also urged the Security Council to take action on several severe crises, including Myanmar, Ethiopia, Libya, Syria, and Yemen. Oman oil price decreased $2.79 compared to yesterday's price, which was $65.24 per barrel. Oman oil price May 2021 delivery reached today $62.45 per barrel. The average price of Oman oil March 2021 delivery reached $54.78 per barrel. Back here in the Sultanate, the wheat crop is cultivated by Omani farmers in the wilayah of Mhadha in the Governorate of Buraimi in great quantities due to its economic importance and high quality. They started these days the harvest seasons of this crop. The farmers in the wilayah of Mhadha receive support from the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries, Wealth and Water Resources, which provided them with modern machines for free in addition to other agriculture facilities and services. The product will be sold in local markets in Governorate and other parts in the Sultanate. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and to end this news bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends a cabal of condolences to the custodian of the two holy mosques and greets the presidents of Tunisia and Tanzania. The United Nations Security Council condemns the escalation of armed clashes around Marib city in Yemen and warns of a worsening humanitarian catastrophe. And France's health regulator recommends administering AstraZeneca vaccine to people aged 55 and over, while the coronavirus cases in Germany rises at a very clearly exponential rate. And with that, we come to an end of tonight's news bulletin. We'd like again to remind you to keep following the precautionary measures of wearing face masks, washing your hands, and keeping physical distance from each other. Good night.
عزيزي المواطن، إن كنت من الأسر المشمولة في نظام الدعم الوطني، بادر بالتسجيل لتضمن حصولك على تعرفة مخفضة بنسبة 33% من قيمة فاتورة الكهرباء.